Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Jay. Yeah, I had to talk a little bit about the current goings on of the WWE right now. Now, obviously, we're all suffering because of the coronavirus. They haven't been able to do any live shows, and they haven't been able to do any big events or tour. All the shows like SmackDown and Raw and stuff been all out of the Performance Center, as well as you know that unique WrestleMania that we saw early in the month. But now, since suffering their the lowest rating ever, ever since they've been on Fox, and they've been on Fox for a year, they suffered their lowest SmackDown rating last week at the 25th anniversary of Triple H, the one where Shawn Michaels came out. They did a little skit, and then Vince McMahon came out. He did a little skit. He tried to make people laugh by referencing Katie Vick, and then he said some incoherent stuff, and it was like "Good night, Padre" or whatever. Then, like the day after, there's a rumor that suffers and surfaces on the internet from Dutch Mantel, Dirty Dutch Mantel, aka Zeb Coulter, aka Uncle Zebekiah, a longtime employee of the Fed, um, who says that he overheard talks from WWE brass in Stanford that they might sell the WWE to either Disney. Either Disney, which is the parent company of ESPN, or to Fox Sports, in addition to the WWE network. Now, here's the thing. A couple months ago, before the coronavirus, like in January, people were talking about, well, not before the coronavirus, but before the coronavirus really hit big in the United States, people were talking about Vince McMahon possibly selling the pay-per-view rights on the WWE network to Amazon or to Fox or to ESPN Plus. But now they're not just talking about selling the pay-per-view rights of the network, they're talking about selling the whole company. So basically, WWE right now is in the same position as WCW was in 2000, 20 years ago, when they were doing so bad that they had to sell the WWE. Now, you do have AEW. They are a startup company, and they have a lot of money poured into them. The Khans are not poor people. But if WWE were to be sold to ESPN or Disney or Fox Sports, first of all, they're sold to ESPN Plus. Not only are they under the Disney umbrella, but they're under the same streaming provider that UFC is under. So that would be history. But if this is true, then this will be the end of professional wrestling. Without Vince McMahon at the helm, there is no wrestling. Triple H does an all right job with NXT, and obviously when Vince McMahon does inevitably pass away. And that's another thing too. At the SmackDown, he didn't seem really in good health. Like, you couldn't really understand what he was saying. He was babbling on. It was like he was not the Vince McMahon that he was in the 1990s during the Attitude Era, or the 1980s as an announcer, or the 1970s as an announcer. He was just not that Vince no more. He just incoherent. You're like, what is he talking about? He looked really thin. He lost a lot of weight. He didn't look so good. And they tried their best to make to go through this crisis in a good way, but laying off all those people, uh, Ron DeSantis coming up in support of them, saying that they're an essential business at a time when people in the real world are really suffering economically, um, doing these horrible ratings for these Raws and these SmackDowns. Velveteen Dream in a scandal where he sent a girl a picture of his dick, an underage girl, and then now and being heavily in bed with Donald Trump's regime to the point where uh, Linda McMahon sent Trump a couple of $1 million, and then Trump tweeted a picture of Triple H saying that he's a true champion, and then now laying off Gerald Briscoe, and then now this, and not to mention on top of that, uh, the XFL goes out of business for the second time in a row. So if this does happen, history will be repeating itself, because in 2000, the XFL was the biggest bust ever in sports business history, and Vince was behind it, and he tried it again in 2020. It failed, and again he's being sued by Andrew Luck's father. So seemed like no luck for McMahon. Uh, he's in very hot water. But how do I feel about this? WWE being sold to ESPN and Disney. Disney last year they had a lot of changes. They let go of Bob Iger, and I think they let go of Kathleen Kennedy in their Star Wars department. I'm not sure. And last year in January they acquired 20th Century Fox rights. They didn't acquire the rights to the sports, Fox Sports or the news. So like where Sean Hannity works and stuff, and Laura Ingraham and them, they don't work for Disney, and neither does SmackDown really work with Disney. That's the sports section and that's the news section. Only the entertainment section was of Fox was sold to Disney, like Family Guy, like The Simpsons, like American Dad, like the X-Men movies, like that, like Deadpool, like that. That was sold to Disney. The part that WWE operates with Fox News was not sold to Disney. But if they sell to ESPN, then yeah, they're in the Disney family now, along with UFC. But what would Disney do with it? I mean, they didn't. They did well when they bought Marvel. They didn't do so well when they bought Star Wars, and they didn't do so well. Really, they didn't really do anything with 20th Century Fox really yet. I mean, granted, you can't do anything with them because movies are not really coming out because of the coronavirus. So this coronavirus puts a lot of things on hold. But still, like, I would hate to see like the McMahons out of the wrestling business. Like, that would be so surreal to me. Like, I grew up hardly when I first started watching. I didn't know that Vince McMahon owned the company. Nobody did. It was completely kayfabe. He was an announcer, but after the 1994 steroid trial, we found out, and it was like he he was always the head tycoon of WWE. We knew he made all the decisions. So, last time wrestling was owned by a corporation. Last two times wrestling been owned by a corporation. It was TNA and it was WCW. And most famously, it was WCW. When Ted Turner bought the NWA in 1988 and transformed it to WCW. And it didn't work because corporations really don't know how to handle wrestling. So, what would I have us think? Since Disney already dropped the ball on several of their other properties, I mean, Star Wars fans are not exactly happy or elated that of what Disney has done to their beloved product. That was also a piece of art or a piece of entertainment that was hands-on, just like we're hands-on with George Lucas, just like wrestling is when WWE is with Vince McMahon. And people say, well, they put Kathleen Kennedy in charge, and Kathleen Kennedy dropped the ball, and Star Wars, the sequel trilogies, they suck. You know, I like some of them. I like The Last Jedi. Solo Star Wars story wasn't that bad, but it could have been better, especially the way they ended. So, do you really want to see WWE go down that same road? You know what I mean? Like, it'd be a good addition to merge Disney Plus with the WWE Network. Put WWE Network as a part of Disney Plus, like you put the Star Wars thing, Lucasfilm and Pixar. But it would be just really weird, to see that. But UFC got $4 billion when they sold the rights to their streaming service to ESPN Plus. So I wonder if they're going to get the same thing. Probably not, because they were not really worth $4 billion. But as of now, all we got to look forward to as wrestling fans is possibly Impact. AEW Dynamite coming back and Money in the Bank. Now, Money in the Bank is out of question. Apollo Crews is out of it. Jinder Mahal came back last night on Raw, and he might be in it. So you might end up seeing somewhere down the line Jinder Mahal, the modern day Maharaja, against Drew McIntyre. You got to put Drew McIntyre against people that are big, And then we don't know if Ronda Rousey's going to come back. A lot of fans now are focusing on Dark Side of the Ring. That seems to capture a lot of fans' imaginations right now. I saw a couple of episodes. I saw the first season. With the second season, I saw a couple of episodes, including the new one with about the time that Dr. D. David Shaw slapped John Stossel. But a lot of these stories I already knew from years of being a wrestling fan. Anyway, guys, peace. Hope you guys are keeping up with politics too. It seems like the media has finally taken a break from the corona talk, and now are starting to talk about Joe Biden's sex scandal with Tara Reid. I wonder if Joe Biden is going to address this situation before November comes, and hopefully he beats Trump. Now Trump is targeting China, saying that China wants him to lose re-election. Shit just gets sillier and sillier, guys. Anyway, peace. Hopefully we'll be off of lockdown pretty soon that I get a haircut and a shave. I really need it, guys. Peace.